everyone. I am not sure if we have occasionally had Evie Muck's vocal issues, and I'm trying to find out. I sound extra echoey to myself. So we're going to start off by finding whether we're having technical issues tonight. Chat, am I extra echoey? Or is it just my own brain? Or lack
Sounds
thereof?
fine to me.
Excellent. It was a little bit so when we were backstage, but now it sounds like really echoey. Nope. Okay, good. All right. It is just the empty space between my ears then. Good to know. We are here tonight for our second round of reviews. We've done some kind of uh, non regularly scheduled reviews before, but this is the first. Well, season two is the first time we have made it an official part of Slice and Dice, and this is the second of those and the seventh, I think, overall for the second. It gets very confusing to have multiple things going on in the same season. I have to keep track of. It's too many numbers. I can't do numbers. No maths. Math's bad. Um, but Simon, at least I know well enough to call it maths.
Yeah,
So my guest today is Simon. Simon has a channel called Noir Frequency, which is very cool and does all sorts of like spooky and interesting things. You want to give us a little rundown on it before we say hello to the chat?
yeah. So it's just like deep dives on spooky and weird stuff. To be honest, if you like spooky and weird stuff, come and check out my channel. It's not really RPG related in any way. I'm just RPG adjacent because I know people.
I
Um,
mean, I think probably most of my audience is only RPG adjacent, so they're just very patient and put up with me.
Fair.
Um, so when you say spooky and weird, what's spooky and weird mean? I mean, I've seen some of them, but for the
So at
people
the
who haven't.
moment, I'm redoing series one of it's a podcast basically. I'm redoing series one so that it's a bit more YouTube friendly because it was audio only, and YouTube does not like that. But I've got one episode up so far from the existing series, which is about Bloody Mary. Um, I'm assuming most of you will have heard of Bloody Mary, where you look into a mirror and say a name 3 times, kind of
I
like
think that's
Candyman
also
type
I
thing.
think that's also the first episode I listened to.
Yeah, so it just goes into the history behind it and the science behind it and folklore, that sort of stuff. It's it's interesting stuff anyway.
It is. It's always kind of interesting. I have a background in psychology, but one of my great loves is actually sociology, and a lot of this stuff, is related to kind of how societies fit together at various points in time. So I always love that, kind of oddball stuff that I guess would be considered social deviance.
Yeah.
But on to say hello to the chat. As always, well, I shouldn't say always, but 90% of the time, Legatus is one of our first ones in, and usually the first. So, hello and welcome. Um, we have Mike on the mic, who I think is also the OGGM, who is the author of the pieces that we will be discussing today. Um, and you were popped into the chat earlier, being social. Thank you very much for that. Um, Azar was actually going to be on tonight's show, but, life gets in the way and work decides to keep you for extra hours and all the good sort of stuff. So thank you very much, Simon, for filling on somewhat short notice.
And
Um,
no worries.
I I had I had intended to have you on anyway, but I had a very specific show for you in mind, and unfortunately that game is not yet ready. So I
Well, I'm
appreciate
sure I can come back for that.
considering that you like the mysterious and the weird. Um, Welcome, Ben. Good to see you here. Uh, Ben and Legatus between them, I think, make up about half of my chat messages for the first and the end of the
I'm,
show.
I'm sorry, are we not saying Ben's full username?
Uh, I mean, the people who are here a lot, I tend to just clip them automatically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but what comes after Ben? It's Ben
I
something.
are you talking about the fact that his full name is Bendover?
Yes.
Yes. Um, Hanayama-san, once again, still celebrating the fact that he now has a working computer and can join us again. And Mr. Hunter, welcome. Good to see you. We don't get to see you too often, so it's good to have you in. Eraser was here just in time to tell me that no, I am not echoing to anyone except myself. And Rio, who I think I have seen about 3 different chats today. So welcome. Um, and just scrolling down through to make sure I didn't miss anyone else. Oh, hey, Rabbit. We had this issue earlier where Rabbit was unable to get seen in the chat. There we go. So we now have him. I could see him here, but you couldn't see him in the chat, and I was on OBS at the time, so you also couldn't see him on OBS. So yes, we now have you working appropriately, and delighted to see you. Sorry, sorry you kept talking at us last time, and we could not. Yes, we can see you now.
We also have in the chat Eraserhead has posted the Goats PC Fund.
Yes, Eraser is wonderful with the links. He will be posting stuff for most of this stream, so my PC fund is because, as I think everyone here knows, mine is dying a horrible death, and after 16 years, it's time to allow it to, retire and go on to that great PC station in the sky. Um, but I need a computer in order to work, so
So
we will keep.
everyone go and donate to Goats PC Fund.
Yeah, I mean, if you can. I know a lot of other people are just as financially bereft as I am, so I don't want anyone else to suffer so that I can not. But I do greatly appreciate every penny that comes out. I have been so humbled by how quickly that fund has grown, so I really, really appreciate
Counterpoint though, I'm a horrible sadist, so go and give Goat
it.
money if you can't afford to. That way everyone's covered. You want the people who can afford to donate. I want everyone else to. That's everyone. There you go.
And the masochists will enjoy it. Um, um, there are some other links that we're going to be having come up. Of course, the links to Simon's channel will be up. And there are a couple other fundraisers for friends of the channel that are going on. Adam and Babs, I'm not quite sure what their status is at the moment, but I know that they were looking at like electricity being turned off. Um, oh God, no, don't, no uneven amounts, please.
Yes, uneven amounts.
No. Somebody donated somebody donated so it's at like 83 or 23 at this point and it's driving me crazy. Like, can I donate $2 to my own fund just to make it stop?
So here's
Ugh.
here's the deal. If you like Goat, then make it an even amount from whatever it is. And if you're evil, then mess that up. We can have a little competition between people.
Oh, it's not even numbers so much. It's like it has to be like
Or
fives.
like yeah, like round numbers, like nice looking ones.
No, I'm not OCD. I am OCPD. Those are entirely different things. Um, when Grim was running his, somebody donated change. And like I started to vibrate while watching it. I was like, "No, you can't do
Oh, that
that."
yeah, that was specifically because you said not to. That was
Actually,
me.
I think it was
It, it was
the
no, I donated something like 10p or something.
oh oh you are evil. Um, I thought it was the transfer rate. I thought it was the way it looked between US dollars and whatever weird monies you guys use.
No, I put a random number in.
Okay. All right. Well, you are just evil then. All right. Welcome to Zero Theory. You are here just in time for Simon to prove that he is in fact a sadist because he donated like a dime to a fund just to mess with me. Azar says if I gave $2.43. Okay. Uh, deep breaths. I appreciate every donation, no matter how nuts it drives me and how much it gives me stomach issues.
Do it, Azar. Do it.
All right, so we are here tonight to talk about a couple of adventures. Well, I originally thought they were adventures. They are apparently supplements. Slight but important difference. Um, do you care which one we actually start with, Simon, or
Shall we start with the Pog one?
the... Okay.
Um,
I heard pub for a second, and I was like, is this
Pog.
just because I really want a beer?
No, the one with the goblins.
Yes. Give me a second. Let me... Ah, now my mouse is gonna also fail me. Actually, it's the way my mouse is connected. Because the computer's failing, it doesn't want to read things properly. So I try and slide stuff between monitors, and it does not slide. Okay. Before we get started, I do want to clear up what I think was a bit of a misconception and possibly has been a misconception for other people. There's a difference between discussions and reviews. So when we have discussions here, we have the people who actually made the game on, they talk about their game. Um, they talk about, they answer questions. I mean, we always put links up anyway, but um, it's kind of more of a back and forth between the creator and the panel and the chat. Um, reviews are are not. Reviews are just Simon and I talking about what we liked about the game, what we didn't like about the game, if there were any objective structural issues or things we especially liked. Um, it's a lot more one-sided. I do try and make clear, what is my opinion and what is objective, but it's a very different format, and I think that there has been some confusion about the difference between those two formats. The main one being that I do not do I generally don't do supplements as presentations or discussions at all. And I definitely don't do, I stick very much to indie stuff. Um, people who've created their own stuff, not who've created supplements for other people's stuff. I get a lot of people who want to present 5e stuff, and we all know how I feel about that. So, um, some of it's actually pretty good, but it's still 5e stuff. So just so we're clear, that's kind of the difference between the two, and we are coming at this from a review perspective, not a discussion perspective. So that may um help me out here, Simon.
So that's why the OGGM is in the chat and not on the screen.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That is an excellent way to
Basically,
put it. That is an excellent way to put it.
we're
Um,
going to talk about their products and what we like and dislike about them.
yeah, as Simon mentioned earlier, it's quite brave to hang out in the chat while people are analyzing your stuff. So uh, there is a reason that they don't usually put a movie director in the room with the person who is reviewing their movie. Um, because it's not usually back and forth. So anyway, so let me share my screen. Da, 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 da. provided this will work today. It will work today. Excellent. And nope, that was not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. All right. Tales from the Pog Wars, of the Pog Wars, sorry. This is available on Drive-Thru RPG. OGGM says it's now pay what you want. I checked yesterday and it was like $4 on sale and $12 normally. Um, Quite easy to find. There are not a whole lot of Pog Wars when you type into the search chat, but I'm sure Eraser will have the link up here shortly. Um, I want to start out by saying I really like the art. The variety of goblins I thought was great. Um, I think I heard that a friend of his that used to hang out at the same game store, I think that was written in there, that kind of was big on drawing different types of goblins. So, but they're all really neat. So, Simon, what was your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the art in it. Um, I'm going to preface this review with this is not the kind of setting that I would actually use, so I'm probably a little bit biased against it in that regard. I prefer my post apocalypse settings to be more serious and less fantasy. If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I like Paranoia, which is kind of a, well, at least used to originally be kind of a silly cartoony post-apocalyptic thing. So I don't necessarily object in that way. I have to say I never thought about mixing post-apocalyptic stuff and cartoon goblins in humor. Um, so that I think that took a little bit of getting used to for me. Um,
Yeah. Um, so, I mean, I've tried to read it from the perspective of someone else who might like that kind of setting,
mhm.
just to give it a fair shot. But uh, it's definitely not a setting for everyone.
Yeah, I tend to run kind of dark, crunchy, complicated, grim things and play fairly light things. So this is something that I might play with the right GM, but I probably wouldn't run it. Um, I do, however, know several people who would. Um, I have friends that are very big on things like Toon and um, uh, oh, what was that called? It was like an 80s game. Oh, Macho Women with Guns.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
those kind of party murdering things. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I
Uh,
I literally just found Macho Women with Guns on Internet Archive last week, I think.
really?
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before, and it was just on
I
some
didn't know
random
you could.
Internet Archive folder I was looking at.
I didn't know you could find it in any way, shape, or form these days.
Yeah, I posted it on Grimm's server, by the way. I'll get you that
Oh
after.
yeah, I'll have to go hunting for that. I do want to talk. So Zero Theory. I was going to talk about this later, but Zero Theory has brought it up. So I will mention it now. The thing that really threw me was that this was done as a Shadowdark supplement. Um, Honestly, both of these games, I that confused me more than anything else. Um, Shadowdark is basically a um, a return to kind of original D&D with like, well, I mean there's some 5e thrown in there. Um, but it's supposed to be quite grim and
I
high
mean,
death counts and lots of
it's
dungeon
no
crawling.
OSR rules set, so the default setting would be grim and high death counts, but the game that I run weekly is an OSR game that's very similar rules to Shadowdark. and I've only had one person die in the 3 years it's been running. So it very much depends on how you're running it.
Well, I mean, this is true. But Shadowdark specifically is designed to be, very tight timelines, hence the uh, torch counters. Hang on a
Yeah,
second. Won't make you listen while I cough. Um, but I would not have ever thought to put something toony in Shadowdark. I think that's what I was trying to get at. Um, Less vigilantes and more this one. Um, but it did kind of throw me for a loop. I had to go back and reread stuff a few times before I could
I
kind
do
of.
wonder actually whether it's Shadowdark because that is just the most popular OSR game based on like the Kickstarter for it raising a million and something dollars, like some silly amount.
I mean, I
Um, like
I get that.
you could easily use these both of the books that we're looking at for any OSR game.
I'm not even sure I understand why you'd use an OSR game. I mean, there's enough kind of like, I mean, even the paranoia dice system, or Tune or any of those. They're all very light dice systems and seem to me like they would be a better fit. Um, but people do tend to do stuff for whatever is popular at the time. So, um,
Yeah, I guess you got to sell the books, and there's got to be a market for it. And
mm,
if these were a setting book for basic fantasy RPG, you would sell a fraction of the amount that you'd sell saying it's for Shadowdark, even though in terms of the actual mechanics that you're using in this game are probably the same game.
I suppose that's true, but this is why I don't do marketing because I care far more about things fitting together well than I do whether or not it gets. Yeah, I can organize how a people's life gets put together, but I can't even. I'm not even terribly effective at my own business because I care more about things working than I do making money.
So Zero Theory is kind of articulated. I think what I'm trying to say is that rules like D20 systems are easy to port lots of fantasy type genres to it.
Yeah.
It's just a good generic system to throw a setting on. People already know it. If they play role playing games, they've probably played some form of Dungeons and Dragons. So
Even 5e. Why not make? I
yeah,
mean, why
so
not
I
make this a
mean,
5e
if
setting?
they well, you could use another system that might fit the setting better. It's not going to be as familiar to people, which is another factor in that as well.
You don't think D&D is more familiar to people than Shadowdark?
D&D is probably more familiar, but it's also um, it's oversaturated as a market. Like if you're looking for a D&D adventure, you'll find literally thousands, possibly millions by this point of D&D adventures that you can get from drive through or just random websites. But Shadow Dark's reasonably new, so there's less competition in that.
I suppose, but see, here's where my issue with 5e came in the first place, which is that because there are so many supplements um, that are different genres, D&D is now like trying to be everything to everyone and not doing it very effectively. And when you start then making adventures for other games that are doing a thing well that aren't that thing, then you end up with the same issue. In the short term, it might market a book, but in the long term, I think it's really harmful to the overall love of that game. But
So, I mean, the OGGM has actually just clarified what we were saying here. So they chose Shadowdark because there's no idea that they came up with that they couldn't not make work, which is the versatility of an OSR system. Um,
I guess it
because
depends on the.
it's fairly rules light, you can then add stuff to the rules, which they've done in this book, which I'm sure we'll get to.
I guess it
So,
depends on the definition of OSR. I mean, there are people that consider OSR to be anything that's rules light, and there are people that consider OSR to be like specifically old school D&D esque stuff. Um,
oh yeah,
but
those
he did say he wanted to hitch his wagon to Shadowdark
yeah.
excitement.
So
Um,
there is that marketing angle which you have to factor in when you're releasing any sort of product, is that you want people to buy it, and there has to be some hype.
yeah, I
But,
guess I'm not getting
yeah,
my point across the way I was hoping, but um,
I don't know. I can respect that you've got to put something to a brand that's out there that people are excited about, and Shadow Dark fits that much more than like Lamentations of the Flame Princess or Old School Essentials or something. There's not that crazy amount of hype that for some reason this particular system has.
um, I agree with that, and I agree that from an initial marketing perspective, it makes sense. But if you look at it from a, how do I say this? This is that sociology thing. It's good for the individual. I don't know that it's good for the overall. Yeah. Original Hamster says it sometimes feel like McDonald's does it great. Let's make another McDonald's. That is a perfect way to put out what I'm afraid at. D&D has begun trying to be everything for everyone. If Shadowed and that's what made Shadowdark successful was people were tired of a game that was so watered down and trying to be everything for everyone. They wanted to bring it back to this is what this game is good at. When you start watering that game down, you end up with exactly the same issue that made D&D fail in the first place or not do as well in the first place. I think Hamster's right. I think by introducing um, games that are not Shadowdark, basically, into the Shadowdark system, you once again start getting the McDonald's effect.
I think Shadow Dark is already yet another OSR system, so you're already doing the McDonald's is great. Let's make another McDonald's by making Shadow Dark.
Oh, I don't think so. I think there's a very big. I,
It's got its own unique aspects to it, but so does every other OSR game. I,
right, but
I'm just
keeping
not sold on the hype for this one, like this system. It it just feels to me like it's
and some people aren't, and it works for some people, it doesn't for others. I know several people that like it. I know several people who can't stand it. Um, but I don't know. I guess it's like imagine if Toon suddenly wanted a grim dark setting that wasn't funny. Like it
yeah.
wouldn't make any sense. Um, yeah. Here we go. Some person. Hello, welcome. Uh, Screw marketing. Just make the best product instead of something generic enough to be marketable. Um, but again, this is my personal opinion. It's more about the presentation of the game than the game itself. As Grim would say, your mileage may vary.
Yeah, but we're not here to review Shadow Dark anyway. We're here
Right,
to
Right. No,
review
and I
the.
wasn't I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to say that like
Oh yeah, no, I,
I
I
was
was I
really
was taking this off onto a massive tangent of
I was really thrown by the idea of a cartoon Goblin world in Shadowdark. I think that was just what I was trying to get at. So,
yeah.
um, I'm an editor. Um, I had had a hard time not read. Well, okay, I did start to red pen it. Uh, I had a very hard time stopping. Um, I think it could use an editor.
It had an editor.
Did it?
Scroll to the end, the
Uh,
very end of the book in the credits.
oh, I looked in the.
Somebody on Fiverr. I don't know if it's someone they know or
I
is it in the end of this book. It's certainly
I was
in
gonna say I thought
this
the
one.
credits were all in the beginning.
Are they at the beginning? Yeah. So I mean the margins on RPG books though are pretty slim. So you do
Oh,
have to
speaking
do
of
a lot
Grim,
of stuff yourself,
um,
or go for the cheapest option on Fiverr. It may have been the other book that was
oh, the other book looked great. Yeah,
proofread by someone, but
yeah, the other book looked very
either
nice.
way, you don't have the money to pay an editor most of the time with these things, which is unfortunate. But
Well, it's very unfortunate because it's this kind of thing that makes me not buy books, and I don't think I'm the only one. Um, I mean, like I know several people who like give away supplement stuff. Um, that they have typos or layout issues or whatever, or they're $2 or something like that. Um, and in that case, most of them are kind of getting editors by people just playing the game and saying, "Hey, this doesn't work," or you've got a typo here or whatever, and then they re-release it later as um, I don't know, the final form, shall we say? Um,
didn't you say this was $4?
it was on sale for $4. It was 12 otherwise.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't complain about typo like stuff like this in a $4 product.
Um,
If we were looking at something that was say $20, I'd complain about typesetting and stuff like that. But for $4,
once you get above $10 is usually my cutoff. Once you get above $10 on the regular price. Um,
yeah, it's now pay what you want on Drive Through RPG. Eraserhead's just confirmed.
yep. Um, well, that's what I said earlier was that like when I looked at it yesterday, which is
Yeah,
what most of my notes are based on. Um,
so
and I got to be honest, some of this stuff, like even if you just ran it through like Grammarly, would have been caught.
yeah, I ran it through ChatGPT and um it picked up stuff. So
Um, and I don't know if things like this are layout issues. I don't know if they're typo issues. The fact that this isn't indented and this is. Um, I do know, what's the name of the layout program that recently got made free? I'm trying to remember what it's called. It was reasonably inexpensive anyway. It was like $60 or something like that. And they've now made it a freebie. And anyone who is a creator in the chat, I strongly suggest you go grab a copy before they change their mind.
Affinity Publisher,
There we go.
as Rabbit
Yay,
just
Rabbit.
told us, and Zero Theory. I will grab a
Affinity
copy of that because I've started publishing things, so not
Affinity Publisher
RPG
has gone
related
free
things,
since
and
there was a Canva buyout. Is that why my Canva program sucks now? I'm actually in the process of looking for a different like art program because Canva's gotten terrible in like the last 3 weeks. my ancestral copywriting twitches are kicking in. Um, Rabbit, I can see you. I am on two different screens and I can't see the chat and the book at the same time.
So the first paragraph not tabbed as a style thing, um, which Rabbit has said, and I had a feeling that was the case as well. So it
It was
looks like
in,
that is a deliberate thing.
well, except then you get it like right here too.
That's the first paragraph, isn't it? No, it's
First
not.
paragraph of what?
Well, you've got
This is the first paragraph of a
yeah,
section.
no, you've got no uh, spacing between your paragraphs above that, and then you've got a big space between two paragraphs, and then
But then
so
you've
the paragraph spacing is off and the indentation is off.
yeah, I love this one. The
So
fact that
yeah,
there are band-aids on the frog.
it would improve it visually if a bit more time was taken to check consistency of things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think for what was $4 and is now pay what you want. I personally I'd still pay $4 for it. I think it's easily worth $4. Um, if it obviously if it was a thing that I would use, it's
Yeah.
not because of it.
Um I liked the I liked the multiple choice apocalypse. I thought that was entertaining. Um Oh, there are band-aids all over these things. How did I not notice this before? For some reason, the little band-aid touches just kind of like really make the art for me. Um, and the fact that there are so many of them,
Yeah,
I kind of laughed about.
yeah, I did enjoy that section.
Um, I did think it was even more entertaining that there are notes on several of them in a OSR game that involves goblins and magic. There are comments about we have to add this apocalypse because it's really like popular, but this would never happen. I was like, well, the goblins would never happen. I happen to be very fond of zombie apocalypse things, so. Um, this is a little bit, for those who caught my last review, this is a little bit like that in that there are a lot of random roll charts with stuff on them I really like. I don't know what I would use them all for. I suspect I would take them out and put them in other things. Because again, I don't tend to run um, funny stuff. Uh, I think there are a couple people in my chat that do though. Um, but I really found I can't remember what it was. It was one I marked specifically because I thought that is really, really creative. Oh, the barbed wire, the giant spiders that make their webs out of barbed wire. For some reason, I just really loved that one.
It's a very original idea. That I can't say I've ever come across barbed wire spiders in anywhere.
Yeah, it was great. Um, and as someone who does in fact live somewhere where I can talk, barbed wire will like randomly show up attached to trees or turned up in the dirt or whatever. The the problem with random bits of barbed wire was not at all understated in this game.
Yeah,
Um,
things like that. I appreciate the creativity that's gone into this with things
Yeah.
like that.
Yep. Like I said, there was a lot. Just the fact that they came up with so many different options for ends of the world. Um, like that kind of breaking it down to very specific options kind of exists through this whole book. There we go. The zombie uprising. The chance of a zombie uprising is 0%. That actually is not true. That's one of my favorite useless, funny little conspiracy blips. But it's very small, but it's not 0%.
No, there's loads of ways the zombie apocalypse could happen.
Oh yeah.
It
Um,
won't, but there's ways it could.
the zombie ants is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Mainly because I'm a big coffee fan. But and then I guess there's a rat that can get infected with a virus that, in its end stages, commands the rat to feed itself to a cat so that the life cycle can continue. I also appreciate the fact that I think the zombie apocalypse got twice as much space as any of the others did.
I like that there's the reference number for the CDC uh, zombie apocalypse guide as well.
Yes.
Oh,
Um.
is it actually? It's a link. It's not just the reference number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um.
So you can go and read that. It is a real thing, and I suggest that everyone does read it because there's redacted parts, which you have to wonder what they've redacted.
Okay, I missed the redacted bits.
It's
I have kind.
possibly not in that PDF that's linked there, but there's a U.S. Army and CDC zombie survival plan that has redacted stuff in it.
Zombie uprising. They've unionized and demanded equal brains. Oof. Is this in relation to the giant spiders? I think they make nests out of them as more than they actually like spit them out like silk. And I love this line: "Go to the bar and order a glass of soup. The end of the world is here and all is fine." The other thing that's amazing about that is that that is the setup, at least as I understand, the apocalypse is the setup for where the game actually takes place. Um, so the fact that there's that much history, there are several pages dedicated to the history of a world that lays the groundwork for where you're going to be playing. I really appreciated.
Yeah, I mean the majority of the book is kind of about the world you're playing in. So
Hmm. There's so many games, though. I think Grim did a video on this recently. There's so many worlds that just feel flat because they don't feel like they have any history. They like
yeah,
exist while you're playing in them, and that's it. Um, I have to say though that I was still thoroughly confused as to the role of Pogs in this by the time I got done. I get that they're
yeah.
currency, but they were
I
used in titles so frequently I can't figure out if they're also like
I
magic
I
things.
had to like control F and type Pog to see what I was missing. Like it feels like it was some kind of in joke that's been sort of forced into this a little bit.
Yeah, I did make a note that it feels like there are a lot of assumptions that you know about some of the background. Like there are references to other books
Yeah,
and things that go on in those other books, but I haven't read those other books, so I don't know what the joke is. But Pogs, it does, the first section of this in the introduction, it does talk about the fact that there's a whole in joke about Pogs.
yeah.
Um,
It,
and
it
it,
was the store um, tried to bring back Pogs and failed.
right. But then it says what are pogs, and then goes on to describe pogs as three different things. Um, and I still don't understand where the hallucinogenic part came in. Hey, Davyverse. Sorry, I'm glad you were able to sweep by for a minute, and I hope you have a good night. Um,
Yeah, it does feel a little bit forced in places. Um,
well, and I couldn't tell if it felt forced or if I was missing something. Like, do they have more of a role than just money in this game?
Not that I could tell.
Especially since there are dollar signs everywhere that it gives the cost of pogs. So I don't know if that's. I don't know. I assume it's like $1 is one pog, but
Yeah, I don't think there's a universally accepted symbol for Pog, so I guess a dollar sign makes
if you're gonna
sense.
spend all that time in the intro talking about the pogs, you could just you could just make one up. Um, but yeah, I still couldn't figure out where the hallucinogenic came in. If that was just a joke or if that actually plays a role in the game. I had trouble with that. Um, the AI sections with the whole "Hi Carl" thing, I would love for those to have been italicized or something because I couldn't. There were also sections where I was like, has the AI stopped talking now? I can always tell when it starts because it always says "Hi Carl," but I can't always tell when it stops.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of rule books that just randomly interject with fluff like that. Personally, that's a personal preference thing.
Yeah,
But then not being able to tell when it stops as well is not good.
yeah. I I was okay with it. I mean, I think there's a balance between a story and a rule set and stuff like that. I don't mind them. There are places I have in fact suggested people put them, but you do need to differentiate between that and the rest of the book, I think. Um, this section confused me a little too. Um, we have all of these umpteen possible end of the world scenarios. But then when you get into the actual current day, it's radioactive desolation in the East Coast, and the whole place that you're in resembles the Old West. So it's sort of like all of those really cool, interesting apocalypses then get funneled down to an apocalypse.
I just read those as that's how it happened, and that's where we are now. But we got there by whatever was rolled on that table.
Okay, so somehow there was radioactive desolation on the East Coast because the zombies
Yeah,
destroyed a nuclear facility or something.
maybe someone tried to nuke the zombies. Maybe
Oh, okay, that would
a
make sense.
nuclear reactor melted down. Who knows? It's the apocalypse.
Um, Twist. In a world, people don't remember what a pog is anymore, so random things get assigned inconsistent comical value. Numenera, plastic is money because they don't have the ability to make it anymore. And so you do end up with like scraps of plastic being inconsistent monetary values. Um, this might have, I don't know, would this work in Cipher System? I'm trying to think. Cipher System might have too many rules. Um, So then we have, possibility for interesting places to go. Uh, of course, we have to include Area 51, which apparently contains the AI that we're being talked at with.
Makes sense.
Um, I highlighted this just out of sheer amusement value because I think the accident and kidnapping rate in Disneyland is actually super high. Like in real life, I think it's actually one of the more dangerous places you can go. Um, like the number of let's see, what does YouTube allow for safe words? The number of employees that turned out to have uh, unhealthy affection for minors has been very, very high. But yeah, I highlighted that just because it entertained me. um, we get into character creation around page 16. Um, that I think is going to depend on the person. I know people who are very uptight about whether or not you do world building first or character building first. I personally think as long as it's done well, I don't really care. But do you have strong feelings on that, Simon?
If you're gonna give the rules to your players so that they can create characters, having the character building stuff fairly early in the book is really helpful. So it's got some world building and then it goes into characters early enough, and I think that's something this has done well.
I would agree. I just sort of meant overall, do you have strong feelings about? It sounds like you prefer your character creation up front.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, as the DM, I'm gonna read through the whole thing,
Hmm.
probably. Well, I'm gonna at least skim the whole thing.
I think
But
you're
my
making
players
assumptions
are,
about a lot of DMs right now.
yeah, my players need to see character creation. They're not going to read it, but I can at least tell them that's where it is.
Um, yeah, I did have circled if you own Shadowdark or any D20 level base game, you should be familiar with these TTRPG tropes. Except that I think early on it specifically said you did not have to own a copy of Shadowdark in order to play this. Um, so I guess it did make it an either or statement, but
Yeah,
like,
there's enough rules in this that you could play it without Shadowdark.
yeah, no, I agree. In fact, I think you might be better off to play it without Shadowdark because there's enough differences that I think if you had a rules lawyer Shadowdark player,
Yeah,
they might get.
I I don't know if perhaps it would, like, I know it's trying to tag along with the marketing hype of Shadowdark, but this does feel more like its own thing.
Hmm. Yep. Just I think from an editing perspective, I would have just cut this whole thing because, as Hamsta said, like, what happens if people aren't familiar?
Yeah. If you're not familiar with a D20 based RPG, why the fuck have you got, sorry language, why have you got this book?
Don't worry about it. People swear on here all the time.
Okay.
I mean, as long as you don't say anything that YouTube actively gets unhappy about.
Yeah, I just don't see anybody having this book that isn't familiar with a D20 based RPG. It's not going
Um, well,
to.
I think it's more basic than that. I think a lot more people are familiar with fantasy tropes than people who play RPGs.
Yeah,
Um, so it feels like a self-evident statement. But these are the fine-tuned, like, nitpicky things I just do
yeah.
automatically these days. I
I,
don't know what blacklight is.
I'm just going to bring up a comment that the OGGMs put in the chat that they can't afford to hire you as an editor, Goat, but that they don't need to. You're going through their entire thing with
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not asking you
red
to hire me
pen.
as an editor. I'm just saying that this is how I read books because I
Yeah,
actually this is actually it's more the other way around. I'm an editor because this is how I read books anyway.
but also like when you go back and do the next edition, you can just watch through this video and look at everywhere there's red pen. There you go. You've already done the editing for free.
I don't know what blacklight is. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of games, but that one I was not familiar with. So,
I don't know Blacklight either. I'm going to have to look
um,
that one up.
but it says we hope you've supported Shadowdark and or Blacklight. So now I have to look it up so I can. I mean, I have supported Shadowdark, and I backed the Western Reaches. So now I have to find Blacklight so I can figure out if I've ever supported anything they do. Um, so it's basic character generation to determine your stats. Roll 3d6 for each one. Note totals and modifiers. Typical Shadowdark stat block. Um, typical everything stat block, really. And then you have dwarves, goblins, hobgoblins, um, humans, Rivens. I found the Rivens incredibly entertaining. This very much felt like something out of Machinations of the Space Princess.
Yeah,
Um, Half elf, half orc, half cat, half carrot. And then you get into professions, warriors. I love this one too. Um, that one is almost not. I don't know. Is that still supposed to be a goblin, or is that supposed to be an alien, or is it a mutated goblin?
it's just under the Area 51 thing, wasn't it? So I think I guess it's an alien.
Well, there's a lot of discussion on where the goblins actually came from. So, um, rogue scholars. I really like the fact that scholar is a character class in this. I think it should be a character class in more things. Um, Especially in post-apocalyptic worlds, scholars would be really important. Shamans. I appreciate the fact that there's apparently no blatant wizard because I dislike all magic systems.
That's what the scholar is.
Is it? I thought it literally was just scholarliness. In that case, I take back what I said.
Well, it's
Yeah,
a
cross-trained in a wide
post-apocalyptic.
variety of scientific and professional skills, doctors, lawyers, educated mad scientists, and researchers.
Yeah, I mean it's a post-apocalypse system, not a generic fantasy system.
I know, but there is magic and there are
Well,
shamans,
oh,
so.
you got the shaman. So it's the cleric is the um yeah.
Um, this is a major difference between this and Shadowdark. If you roll a natural one on your spellcasting check, the spell doesn't take effect and you can't use it again until you've completed a rest. In Shadowdark, if you fail the spell at all, the spell does not take effect and you can't use it again until you've completed a rest. And a natural one results in some horrific, terrible thing happening. Hey, Adam. Welcome. Jack Jack Relad raid? We apparently have a Jack Tarlad raid, so I assume I'm gonna avoid all of the ball jokes. Um, Adam, who won? Um, I liked this Code of the West thing. Again, the layout got a little wonky. Um, but I thought some of them were really well thought out. I would never have considered the don't wave at a man on the horse because you don't want to spook the horse.
Is that a thing?
What?
Spooking a horse by waving at it.
I have no idea, but I have a very low opinion of horses, so it wouldn't surprise me. Give me a good mule any day. Always drink your whiskey with your gun to show your friendly intentions. I mean, that's confusing, but funny. Give your enemy a fighting chance. See, there's another reason that this game, and I would not do well. I don't believe in anybody giving a fighting chance. Zero Theory says that they're dying of laughter because I have a low opinion of horses. Horses are terrible. They're expensive spun glass.
I'm sure
Uh,
they don't like goats either.
They're welcome not to. I will outlive them. There was a vet once that made a comment about she also hated horses, and she said, I stitched up a horse that got caught in a fence, tore its entire side up, terrible infection, awful. Um, Stitched it up. A few months later, it was doing fine. It actually lived. It was doing great. Uh, 2 weeks after that, it got a stomach ache and died.
Yep.
Starting pogs, 2d6 times 10 pogs. So theoretically, you're starting out with what? 112? 100? No. Yeah, 120. Math. Have I mentioned I can't do math? I also found it interesting that they adopted the Firefly thing about speaking Mandarin.
Have we scrolled past the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy quote?
I think we have gone past at least one of them.
I think there was only one in this one, but the other one it was in there twice. But we'll come to
Um,
that when we review Vigilantes.
yeah, I'm trying to skim through this and just kind of hit the highlights on this because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for Vigilante since it's longer. I also find it entertaining that it says you never have to waste an hour of play shopping for arrows. And the next page, the first item on the gear and ammos is a quiver of arrows. And I counted uh, just the regular like equipment section is 10 pages in a 100-page pamphlet. So 1/10 of this is in fact shopping. So yeah, here's where I got confused. So I assume that all of the pogs are dollars. So like a life pod tent would be 1,000 pogs.
That
It
was
seems
my
like
understanding of it.
that seems like it would be very hard to carry. But you get 3 of them. Yes, Mr. Hunter. Horses are highly variable. And mules are far smarter than any of them. Um, but I would still take a mule any day, especially in a post-apocalyptic scene. Because a mule will cheerfully murder a mountain lion. I love the fact that they still have coffee. That might have been my favorite tiny world building piece, is that there is still coffee.
Yeah, where are they
In
getting coffee from in the apocalypse?
I don't know, but I love the fact and it's not only is it still available, it's cheap. I really enjoyed that. And they have gumdrops. I'm afraid to ask what goblin chocolate is, but it's probably Hershey's. I mean, you get like real chocolate where you're from. We don't.
I prefer Hershey's, honestly.
Really?
Yeah,
Eh.
yeah,
The
Hershey's
apocalypse
cookies and
runs on
cream is
Duncan.
great.
Yeah, so OGGM said it's best not to ask where the AI is getting any of the stuff we sell at Seth's. I think what's really lacking is there are a lot of references to Seth's, and I don't understand what Seth's is, other than a game store that is in the intro.
It's the um
I mean, I eventually got
the
the
generic
notion
store
it's
that's
it's a
available
7-Eleven,
everywhere.
but
Yeah, it's just like wherever you go, there's going to be this store that sells these things,
it's McDonald's. Um,
which is a good idea. I like that because trying to find somewhere to buy generic stuff in the apocalypse would probably be quite tricky. but you don't want the entire game to be about trying to find a shop.
Yeah. Um, I guess it's not so much that there is a Seth's, it's that there are references as if I should know more about Seth's than I do, which made me feel like there must be another book that I don't have. Space uniform. I missed that the first time through. So I'm jumping ahead a bit here, but there is in fact a section at the end of this where the old Wild West goblins suddenly become space goblins.
Yeah, that I didn't get.
Same. I was
I mean, I get that they've put more than one book together into a single book, but it doesn't fit.
Yeah, and it very clearly says on the cover that this is, a weird Wild West thing. Um, and that, yeah, that really, I mean, I sort of like the combination of, old-timey weapons with, weird made up things that you've never heard of, but then all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, we're in space, really threw me. That I think that really definitely needed to be its own thing.
Yeah, I think with the space section as well. There's not enough of it there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna use it, like it needs more. But I think the space thing should be its own book and should be fleshed out a lot more and just taken out of this one.
I giggle every time I scroll past this one. There's a lot of the art in here I like, but this one for some reason really tickles me. It's it's this one right here in particular, like the side eye single eye. Um,
I think we should focus on some of the positives on this though. Some these tables are good.
oh, they are. I apologize. I thought I, I thought I had said that. Oh, and they
Well,
do have
we
donkeys and mules.
did both say it briefly earlier, but like the amount of equipment and stuff you've got here is like if you're running any post-apocalypse setting, paying $4 for the equipment tables is worthwhile.
Yeah, I would definitely, again, I don't run funny stuff so that I would probably not run this, but I absolutely would use the tables in other things. I love the giant pack lizard too. In a desert setting, a giant pack lizard makes a whole lot more sense than many of these things. Um, OGGM, since you are in the chat, uh, is gasoline on any of these lists?
Does it need to be? You can run a car on vodka.
What a waste of good vodka. um, I do love the fact that you can get a yacht for 1,000 pogs
In the desert.
in the desert. I know, right? I assume that there's probably. I mean, you can also go to space, so maybe the yacht is better suited in space. Yeah, boats and jet skis and large boats and yachts and snow sleds. Um, this seemed like an inconsistency to me, but I'm not sure if it's an inconsistency or if it just needed fleshing out more. Opinions?
Sorry, I'm trying to. I have quite a small screen, so I'm struggling to read this.
No gas, everything runs on Zoop. The stuff that you drink because the apocalypse is here and everything's fine? That's why I made the hex crawl supplement on drive-through. Okay, so you do need at least one other book.
Yeah, so I would suggest that actually that hex crawl supplement would have been better in this than the space bit.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't honestly I didn't even look at that one because that was not part of the stuff that was given to me. Um so I didn't even realize it was connected to this at all. Um did you happen to see how many pages it is? Like does it
I've not looked at it, but if OGGM says that it's something related to this, then perhaps it would be prudent to include it rather than random space stuff.
um
Or at least the
I
parts of it that are relevant to the setting.
I did notice when I was trying to find the price on this that it that is free. Even when this was $12. So.
Yeah, but having it in the same document would
Oh
be
yeah, no,
helpful.
I totally agree with you. Um, but since we have what we have at the moment, I was just saying that people can find it without paying any extra. So
Yeah.
if people want to use this for anything, um, you can carry several items equal to your strength or 10, whichever is higher. That's Shadowdark norm.
Oh, we
Um,
got an explanation. They hadn't written the hex crawl rules when they sent this to you,
ah,
so it was something that was effectively missing from the setting that's been put into the hex crawl rules, but not into this because this already existed.
got it. Okay.
Okay.
Well, apparently there's going to be another edition, so perfect.
Yeah.
Um, Rule 0, this is a game, it is only a game. Yes, that is, I am not big on session zeros, I am not big on safety rules. Uh, people being able to remember this is only a game, however, I'm very big on. It is a shame that we actually have to write it down, but it is, it is excellent. The other thing I liked too, because I don't like safety rules, is that, um, there are so many games that just automatically make it a here's a whole bunch of thing about how to do safety rules.
Yeah.
And this just says, are we going to use them? I really appreciated that. On foul language and adult content at the table. If there are adults at the table, use adult content. If there are minors at the table, don't. Um, Rule number 4 is problematic for a game that says you don't actually need the Shadowdark core rules. I also liked the game does not owe your players an explanation for everything. It's a mythical, unpredictable, dangerous world. I mean, I walk down the street and there's stuff all the time I don't understand, and I don't live in a world where goblins suddenly exist. Rule number 1 confused me. I mean, it seemed to say, don't argue with them even if they're wrong. That was my guess.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
I know too many game masters that would use that as a way to say, I am always right. I know game masters that think they're always right anyway. I am definitely not always right.
I am always right.
Well, we've already determined that you're a sadist, so that's your job. I am not. I am only a sadist when I am running games, and that's only according to my players. Heroism. Even if they play evil characters, the players want to be the heroes. I have players that would disagree with that. I have many, many players who would disagree with that.
No, my players in my regular group are playing the heroes, but they want to be the evil characters.
Yeah, I mean, the term murder hobo exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I don't want to not have time for the other one. A lot of this is um there are some combat rules. There is some more neat art. There is kind of general, rolling dice, the death things. It is definitely harder to die in this game than in a standard Shadowdark game. Um, and apparently, no one ever stays dead. Or it's possible for people to die and then not die. Um, which sounded a lot like Cult to me. I do love Cult. I love the early editions of Cult. Um, I don't think Natty is in the chat, but Natty very specifically asked me about whether or not dysentery was an option in this game. So when I found that dysentery is in fact an option in this game, I had to immediately email her. Um, I like the fact that disease is included. I was a little disappointed that there weren't like weird alien diseases included. Because, post apocalyptic. I think this was supposed to be another heading. I don't know. I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, I think that should have been bold and on the next line.
Yeah. Um,
But we're picking apart the typesetting here, which is
I look.
good.
I tried. I'm way past the point where I was editing like everything, but there was still some stuff that I just kind of automatically like highlighted. Um, I thought the religion section was interesting. The question is not if they exist. The question is, should you be trying to draw their attention? I thought that was an interesting line. I liked that a lot. All right, I want to have time to go through the other ones. So, oh yes, more really good help wanted
Yeah, some good
rules.
tables here.
Um, I didn't know if I thought this was supposed to be another table, but it doesn't seem to have any numbers. So it may just have been a GM gets to pick kind of thing.
So
Um,
I never roll on tables. I just look through them and go, "Oh, that looks like a good one."
yeah, I tend to too. The only time I use tables is when I don't want my players to accuse me of, either being too nice or too mean to them. In which case I'll use tables just so I can be like, dice did it, not me.
You
Um,
roll a dice and pretend they don't know what's on the table.
I honesty. It's right up there with like weird numbers on financial things. I can stretch the truth like crazy, but lying just makes me feel queasy. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I've said it before, but I think this is easily worth $4 just for the tables in it, even if you're not
Yep, I would
using the
agree.
setting. Like, if you run any sort of post-apocalyptic setting, there will be tables you can use, and there'll be stuff that you can take inspiration from that is worth $4. I know it's been made pay what you want, but pay him $4.
Um,
So it's basically it's less than a coffee now.
it's
Um,
it's also, if you've got those players that like to grab the book that you're using and read it all so they, know every possible outcome, grabbing a different book and inserting some stuff in is a great way to get around that. Um, so yeah, or for that matter, when you're just kind of not feeling great and can't come up with your own ideas and they've done something weird that you didn't think of. Oh, look, Simon Says.
Yeah, has to be one word. Simon Says bye.
All right.
Four
Yeah.
dollars. Like, yeah, just worthwhile for that. I probably wouldn't pay much more than that personally. Just with the amount of editing needs doing and just the small issues with it add up to not wanting to pay much more than $4, but it's easily worth $4 for the stuff that you would use.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. All right. I'm trying to bring the vigilante thing up and instead it keeps trying to move my EVMux screen. I'm so looking forward to the day I don't have to deal with all of this.
I would probably say that with the new edition that's going to come out apparently sometime next year, if it fixes all the stuff that's in there that we've covered and includes additional content, then yeah, like $12-15 is
Oh yeah, absolutely.
perfectly reasonable. I'd pay it.
Someday I'll be a real boy and have an editor. um,
OGGM, like, hit me up on Discord. I'll proofread stuff for you if you want. Just because I like to read things. Like, I probably wouldn't catch as much stuff as Goat would, but I'm quite happy to have a flick through stuff and pick up any glaring issues.
all right. So this is the point where my poor sad laptop, who is not supposed to be my streaming computer, begins to groan under the strain. And we have to wait a few minutes before it will even acknowledge that I have brought the other PDF up. So once I can get to it, the next one is Vigilantes. Um, this was also a bit of a surprise because I didn't think of superheroes either. Um, this one is going to be a little difficult for me. So Simon, I'm hoping you like superhero games in some way, shape, or form because I don't run light, funny games, but I do like to play them. I do not like superhero games at all.
So I've never played or run a superhero game, but I've played and run fantasy games which are effectively superhero games. If you think about it,
Um,
like your average D&D game, you've got people that are nigh unkillable
well, but
superheroes.
that's why I don't like D&D. That's why I gave up D&D was because I couldn't stand that.
Well, that sucks for you. Like
I like
that's the generic like game that most people play, and this puts it into a modern setting quite well.
it does do that, yes. And I did like the fact that it focuses on them as like vigilante types. Um, because if I was going to do a a superhero game, that definitely would have to be my focus. I run almost exclusively horror games, and the whole point of horror is to be killable and to be uncertain and to, like, the unknown. And so when you have a game where you're unkillable or nigh unkillable, as you said, um, you can't really make a good horror game out of that. Um, I think that's why D&D, especially nowadays, just doesn't make for good horror.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
Um, so you said that you don't like the little insert things. What did you think of the amateur hour?
Oh, is that the beginning part of it where it was
Yeah,
just
the
like
little
an
story.
intro? See, I don't mind it when it's just like an intro bit right at the beginning to give you a flavor of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, but when it just like randomly inserts itself mid
Okay.
rulebook, that bugs me because I'm reading the rulebook to find the rules. Like if I'm flicking through it trying to find something, having to go scroll past or flick past pages of fluff is wasting my time. But if it's a couple of pages at the beginning, that's fine.
If it's a couple of pages, that's really easy to get by.
Yeah, bit of glue stick them together so it skips past the whole thing. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, again, I do kind of like the bits of fluff. I do think they give them flavor. And I think I love the books that, um, so for instance, Slay Industries has the fluff at the beginning to introduce you to players and their characters, and then they use those players and characters throughout the book to explain how certain rules work and to give you an example.
Yeah,
But again, they'll all be kind of in italics, so it's easy to tell that apart from the rest of the rules. Um, I
it's
think when
definitely
it's
better
done,
when it's clear,
yeah,
like
definitely.
putting it in italics. But it's a personal preference thing for me, though. Like not wanting fluff in with my rules.
Hmm. I mean,
I,
that's
I
most
get
of,
I get that other people do want it there, but definitely put it in italics.
yeah, or in a little uh, box on its own or something. I was very entertained by the fact that your starting money is dependent on your charisma.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on that.
It's different, and I'm always looking for different. So I thought I could not find um who did the art in this. The art seemed
The art
less.
is AI.
It is okay.
It's also not consistent, which is one of the things
That's
that really bugs me
what I was
because
gonna say.
I don't care that it's AI art. AI art is fine if you're going to use it because we can't all afford to pay someone to draw stuff. But at least get the prompts so that it's making consistent styles.
This was the only one that really bugged me because the others at least all seem superhero esque.
Oh no, there's that redhead woman one as well that was a bit.
The redhead before or after?
Oh, I can't
Do you remember?
remember. I think it was further down,
Um,
but it didn't quite look like it fitted.
this doesn't look like it fits. But I mean, most of the ones when you're looking at the, kind of the starter character explanations, most of those at least felt like superhero comic books, except that one. And I literally did a double take when I went to that page.
Yeah. But even if it didn't look like a superhero or whatever, it's just the art style is not consistent.
Hmm.
And that's something that kind of bugged me going through this quite a bit.
I did find it interesting that there's some stuff, considering this is supposed to be, modern day-esque, there's some stuff I was interested was on the buy list. I mean, torches are kind of imperative to Shadowdark, but that's because there's no electricity in Shadowdark and no, you don't find a lot of that same stuff. So I found it interesting that they were still here. It was kind of a, I was torn between it feeling like it didn't fit and feeling like it was a nice nod to the fact that it is a Shadowdark game.
I would probably have treated it as like a battery powered torch,
Mm-hmm.
and the rather than carrying like 5 torches, you're carrying 5 batteries.
Yeah, that would make more
Yeah.
sense spacing wise too. But then we get into like all of the warhammers and short swords, and like none of those really feel like a modern day thing either. So, except of course, the MCU has given us Hawkeye. So,
Yeah, you're gonna get superheroes and supervillains that have got crazy weapons, and you'd have to equate that to something like a warhammer or something. So you've got
true.
like
I guess I just wish
an
they were
evil
crazy.
clown with a big comical clown hammer thing. That's a warhammer.
I'm also entertained by the fact that we have, heavy handguns right next to the paint gun. There are all these like little the way things are put together. There are these little touches that just kind of make me grin every time I notice them. Oh, is this your redhead?
Yeah, that's the one I think.
Yeah, that one looks more like a photograph.
Yeah.
Gadget Girl's Guide to Gadgets. I assume that's not Gadget Girl since we've seen Gadget Girl earlier. Ooh, I like that idea, Zero Theory. A create your heroic weapon rule. Because that, I mean, like, there aren't a whole lot of hammers in the MCU, but you do have, like, Thor's hammer specifically. It might be neat to, if you're going to have superheroes, like, create the weapon along with the actual character generation.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Herb wow, I totally forgot Herb was a thing. Azar's blast from the past. Did you have things in this that were especially jumped out at you, or?
I just think overall it does a really good job of the sort of cartoon superhero genre.
Yeah, I do think just like structurally and how easy it is to follow. Um, if I did not look to see how much this one was currently. That was an oversight on my part. Um, but in general, the setup on this one feels much better. It flows better. Like you said, the art sometimes feels kind of off, but
Yeah, the layout's good though. I like the layout on this one.
well, there was a lot less. I had a lot less. I don't understand this questions too.
It's difficult to sort of give an in-depth review on this because it is effectively just translating the fantasy type archetypes to superhero, and it does that really well.
Hmm.
But beyond that, there's not a lot more to say about it. If you want to run a superhero game
I do have a
using a
question.
D20 system, this is what you want to use to do it. But
I did have a question. Let's. Oh, here we go. So this is called Vigilantes, but then in the introduction it says Shadowdark Supers is the
oh,
total
and it
title.
also has Shadowdark superheroes on another part as well. That was something I picked up.
Did the name get changed? Hello, Ms. Sparkles. Azar, I resent that. None of you have died in at least 4 sessions. Um, I mean, in that game. So yeah, OGGM was this originally named one thing and the name got changed, or Kelsey said I had to change the name, but I like. Kelsey said I had to change the name, but I like to play around and
Use different names
use
for the
different
same
names
thing.
for the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, so it needs to have some
Yeah,
consistency.
that really needs consistency. And I'm pretty sure if she said you had to change the name because she didn't want Shadowdark being in it, she probably meant that through the whole thing. Um, Super dark. Yeah, that's a good one. Because yeah, that was the one thing that did confuse me. Let's see if I can get. I should check to see what page I was on when I was scrolling. Um, Pet range self. Man, that could go different places than it actually ended up going. Now I have to give 10 seconds for the chat to like come up with all of the naughty things that they're gonna say. You've chosen to fight crime or criminals. I have mixed feelings about this because I suppose that is kind of a fantasy trope with the whole ranger pet thing. Um, but putting it in this setting almost feels like a Disney princess thing. Zero Theory, I think he was saying he couldn't call it Shadow Dark Supers because Kelsey is the woman who made Shadow Dark, and since it's third party, you probably can't actually use it in the name. Care and feeding of the pet costs $300 a month. Man, do any of my animals cost $300 a month? We literally go through periods where like the feed costs are as much as our mortgage. Azar, it is hard to get AI to be consistent, but it is possible if you use very similar prompts and just change a few words here and there.
Yeah, depends what AI you're using as well.
Yeah, I wasn't saying there aren't pets in supers. I'm just saying that I always have mixed feelings about them.
So, yeah, OGGM, ping me a message about AI art at some point as well. I'll help you out with that because
This one
I
looks
can get
very
very
comic-y.
consistent results.
This one looks very comic-y. This one I like a lot. Um, I think the other reason that I am not crazy about superhero systems tends to be because I don't like magic systems, and it's very difficult to make a superhero system where the powers don't end up feeling kind of magic-y.
But that's what superhero powers are.
I know. That's why I don't like them.
Yeah,
Unless you get, Batman who's, you know,
but
techie.
you can make Batman in this system.
Um, yes,
You've
but
got different.
nobody else in the group is going to, and they're all going to end up with magic powers. Yeah, the tech girl example that they give, like if I was
Yeah,
playing this, that would That would be the route that I would go. Um, but a lot of this is um, gonna just feel like reading my way through a system that's. And again, it's just that is a personal thing. It's not that there's an issue. There are people that like magic systems. My brother loves magic systems. He's written magic systems. I just don't happen to like them.
I think I've played a magic user like once in the last 20 years.
I last played a magic user at 17, I think. I'm not even sure that late. Actually, yeah, I don't even know. Have I ever played a magic user? I'm not sure I have. If I did, it was. Oh, no, I take that back. When I was in college, somebody ran mage. That was the only time I've ever been talked into into doing a magic user. Um, and that was because he was a nice guy, and we all adored him. Yeah, hate magic systems. I will say that mages, out of the ones I have bothered to take the time and read, which I will admit I have not done for years, mage probably bugged me the least because it was the most real world y and had consequences. You are immortal and will never grow old and cannot die. You need to eat, breathe, and sleep, but other than that, you are unkillable. Man, you could have some real problem players with that one. On the
You
other
could
hand, I'm sorry, go ahead.
you could have problem players with any sort of magic, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just don't play with douchebags like that.
Um, so I am a little bit masochistic. I sometimes really like having players like that. Um, problem players can. Sometimes I like the challenge. Adam, you are not the only one old enough to remember villains and vigilantes. I promise you. There's probably at least. Well, I don't know. They may have left at this point, but I'm pretty sure that there are people who at least were in this chat that still own copies or have owned copies. Villains and vigilantes is the goat.
See, I'd be
Ha-
tempted to use this system to run a game in the universe of the Tick, if you've ever
oh, there
seen
we
that.
go. Is Steven still in the chat? If so, I want to know if he still runs the tick. He used to do a tick based game. Hamsta, did you own Villains and Vigilantes? Also remembers it. Okay. I couldn't remember if you owned a copy or not. Oh, you found your Cyberpunk box set. Sweet. I mean, a year after you've been on the show about it, but better late than never. Now you can play. Weirdness Magnet. Now there, I rarely find this in games, no matter what the setting is, and it is always one of my favorites. Um, Weird is one of the options in Numenera, and I'm always so happy when a player takes it. Yes. The tick and the spoon. I suspect this one is a lot longer than the other one because the nature of superheroes is that you just have to spell out so many more abilities.
Yeah, I mean this one feels like a full rule book, to be honest, whereas the
Yeah,
other one was more of a setting book.
yeah,
So
yeah. This is definitely my favorite out of the two. This reminds me of I think there's a shot in The Watchmen that this picture kind of reminded me of. Not the teleporting via picture, of course, but
what was the price on this one?
I don't know. I forgot to check this one. Eraser, can you look it up for me? The fact that we're on page 83 before we got to the rule zero. I don't know. I think I tend to.
$15.99 on Grimm's Itch.io.
Oh, okay. Pay what
Twelve
you want.
pound
Pay what you
ninety
want for
nine
the
if you're in the
holidays.
UK.
Yeah. If you like superhero games, I definitely would. This would definitely
Yeah,
be a.
I think that's very reasonably priced for the amount of material that's in this, and
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and the layout is good. Um, it doesn't make my skin itch.
yep, layout's good. It covers basically everything you could think of for running a superhero game. It translates well from a generic fantasy player group. So if somebody always plays a thief or always plays a wizard or something, they'd be able to pick something that they understand the rules for, assuming they play a D20 system, which
Yeah.
unfortunately basically everyone does. Um,
Well, I mean, it's not that I really have an issue specifically with D20 systems. It's again, it's just becoming McDonald's and it's driving away systems like Cult. The original first couple of editions of Cult were incredibly deep, were incredibly um, layered and dark, and then it went to oh, what's the other big one? The one that Grimm hates. Powered by the Apocalypse, is that what it's called?
yeah,
Um, and now it's just kind of a two-dimensional surface level of itself. And I feel like there's so many games that were really good that then decided they were going to go to D20 that kind of lost what it was that made them great games. Shadowdark being a D20 system makes sense to me simply because oh look, here's another. The same quotes got used a lot in both of them. No one ever stays dead. um did you say that the Hitchhiker's Guide quote is in here twice?
yes,
It is.
at
Um,
least twice. I saw it twice. It might be in there more.
okay. Um, I mean, it is basically a spin-off of a D20 system, so it makes sense that it is a D20 system. But for games that were, I'm just picking randomly out of the air here, but were D6 systems to suddenly become D20 systems, you end up having to modify so much stuff that I think it's just not. Oh, look, shopping. A towel has immense psychological value. Speaking of the towel quote from Hitchhiker's Guide, um, I I just wish every time weren't going that route. I say quite regularly that I'm just looking for something different. I sense that OGGM is a Fantastic Four fan. This, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not sure the emergency services thing gets dealt with in most superhero systems or movies or comics or anything else. I almost think that this adds more questions. It makes me the only thing I can think of where emergency services did come up was Watchmen when they were like rioting because they were losing their jobs to the vigilantes.
The police are always coming up in Batman. They're just all corrupt and useless.
Well, there is that. They show up as bad guys. They show up as bad guys, not emergency services. Who's going to pay for that? That is a thing that also doesn't usually get dealt with. That's why Batman has to be a multimillionaire. It's not really for the toys, it's for the repairs afterwards. I I know that we have been a little bit down on the art, but I have to say I do like this one. I don't know why. I think it's just that it does a really good job of implying scale. But then I like weird angle shots on things in general. So again, I like things that are different. Other thoughts as I'm going along, Simon? Please do jump in. I feel like I'm talking far too much and not giving you nearly enough.
I feel like I'm not saying enough, but yeah, I don't think I've got much more to add, to be honest.
How did you feel about the history bit?
Um, so that's obviously down to playing it in that particular setting, which isn't something that I would do personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of skimmed over that a little bit.
Well, I was wondering because you said that you don't really like a lot of fluff kind of stacked in the middle of the.
Yeah,
And I didn't know if the history counted as fluff or.
kind of. I think it depends on how you're running it. So, like, if I was running it, I'd be running it in the Tick universe because I
Mm-hmm.
think it would fit that really well. But someone else who's running it in its own setting is going to want to be able to look at the history stuff.
I'm. I ask because I. Oh, what was it I looked at a while ago? I think it was Through the Breach. It was the Malifaux role playing game. And they have so much lore in the book on that game. And it's like the first third of the book. And you get these like long detailed sections and then all of a sudden it would be like and the problem was solved by this deus ex machina and then we moved on.
Yeah,
Um, and I did not like it at all. And I said, what I'd really rather have is a totally separate novel that was fully fleshed out as opposed to just and then Deus Ex Machina end of story. Um, but I do like. I mean, I said earlier in this that I do like a world that feels more fully fleshed out with a sense of history. Um, and so I was kind of trying to decide whether or not I felt like this was a good balance between those two things. But then I got like way too analytical about it and questioned myself like crazy. So I this is what we call overthinking, boys and girls. And we've moved into the Elvis Presley quote section.
yeah. Having Elvis in there was a little odd. Because I think Elvis is a character in there as well, isn't he? Or was he a character in the other one? I recall seeing Elvis statted when going
I
through these.
totally missed that. I was also interested in the fact that it's done by issues. So it's not like, this is the chapter for
Yeah, that was a
NPC.
nice touch.
Yeah, again, different, and those little different touches make it stand out a lot from kind of your everyday. I agree with you. I don't think there's much more else to say. I think it's just like, I mean, there are areas that could be tightened up. There are areas where, there are quotes, the same quote in multiple places. Um, but all in all, I think the layout is good. The information is good. Um, for any of the people I game with, as much as I don't tend to like superhero games, I might be willing to give this one a shot under certain conditions. Like, immortality does not get to be on the table.
But you can do some horrible things to immortals.
Um,
Like an immortal in the vacuum of space.
yeah. Well, and it's like, did you see The Old Guard, the movie?
I did not.
Well, there's like the character in The Old Guard that at the very beginning, instead of, they discover they can't burn her as a witch, so they put her in an Iron Maiden and they dump her in the middle of the ocean.
Well, that's
Um,
horrible.
and so for several hundred years, she just drowns and dies and comes back to life and drowns and dies and comes back to life and goes completely insane. Oh, there you go. Elvis Presley. I
Yeah,
did
there we
miss
go.
that. I was kind of scanning when I hit the monsters just because I didn't want to know everything all the time. Elvis died on August 16th, 1977 in Memphis, Tennessee. Since then, he has recorded 16 new hit songs. uh, um, hmm. The these were quite creative. I liked these a lot. Most of them anyway. I felt like the archetypes for the characters themselves were designed to be kind of recognizable as actual superheroes. Um, but I like the fact that these stats are for things that are, for a large part, kind of different. I would never have thought of making Elvis Presley an NPC.
So I actually have made Elvis Presley an NPC in something that I've put out. Well, it was
Was he a
Nazi
bad
zombie
guy?
Elvis. Yeah, it was a Nazi zombie version of Elvis, but it was still Elvis.
All right. Well, we covered a fairly large chunk of that, and I don't want to give the whole thing away. And I think we've kind of petered out on things to say other than, yeah, good job.
Yeah, if
Um,
if you want a D20 superhero system, that one ticks all the boxes.
um,
I mean, I would say there are probably better systems to use than D20 for a superhero game, but for most groups, you want something that people are willing to play, and most groups, the players are willing to play a D20 game.
yeah. I mean, I would probably even play it as a D20 game. I still have an issue with it being called Shadowdark. But as a system in and of itself, I kind of like it. I mean, as much as I like the fact that I'm the fact that I'm willing to try it at all, and it's a superhero game. Trust me, is an absolutely enormous compliment.
I would question whether it needs to have Shadowdark in the name? Like,
Yeah,
is it getting any sales as a result of it? And if it's not, why have Shadowdark in the name? If it is, then great, keep it. But it's something that I would be looking at if it was my own product.
yeah. I mean, we were talking earlier about including Shadowdark as a marketing thing, but I think that people who are searching for Shadowdark are going to be looking pretty much for the opposite of that game, and
Yeah,
that you're more likely to lose potential sales by putting Shadowdark on that one than gaining them. Because people who are looking for superhero games aren't looking for black and white, grim, you know, Shadowdark brings to mind, pencil sketch black and whites, um, dungeon crawls, not superhero games. And I think the people who are looking for superhero games might be overlooking this because they're specifically not looking for Shadowdark. Um, so I think, yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. I think you might, I think the Pog Wars one might pick up some buyers with the Shadowdark attached, just because it kind
yeah.
of stands out. But this one, yeah, this one I
The
think it's
Pog
good
Wars
enough to
one
be its
is
own thing.
the Pog Wars one is fantasy, so it
Yeah,
would make sense attaching it
except when
to
they
that.
go
But
into space.
yeah, that didn't make sense to me.
All right. Um, questions from the chat for myself or Simon? Otherwise, I think that is pretty much all we have to say. Uh, Simon's podcast is very interesting. Go watch it.
Thank
Uh,
you.
the the superhero game is interesting. If you run games or play games, go check it out. If you run games and need lots of tables, check out Pog Wars. Uh, thoughts, comments, questions, things I missed, Simon?
No, can we get a link in the chat to the two products? I mean, you can get them both at post-mort.com.
Yeah, I think Eraser has been putting them in the chat quite regularly.
Yeah.
And speaking of links, go subscribe. Um, whoop, the chat just got away from me all of a sudden. When are you playing Misery Simulator again? I mean, that was kind of a test run today. I did not intend it to be a regular thing. Uh, I figured it was probably kind of boring for most people to watch. I just wanted to see whether or not the computer could handle the graphics. Yes, Vigilantes, link right here.
Yeah, so if we're coming to the end of the stream, if everyone watching at the moment can just open up that link to Vigilantes for Shadowdark and take a look at it and consider buying it. Because it genuinely does look like a very good product.
Support
And
indie games.
Tales of the Pog Wars, it's pay what you want, but chuck them a few dollars. It's
Oh, I
got
know
some
the other
good
thing I
tables
meant to
in it.
check. I wanted to know whether or not they were available in physical copy. Probably not if he's doing a second edition next year.
Drive Through does print on demand, so I don't know.
Yes, both are pay what you want at the moment for the holidays, so
Oh, in
support
that
small
case,
creators.
grab a copy and pay him when you've got some money if you don't have any money now.
Um, Hamsta, oh wait, you tried to get in earlier and couldn't. Yeah, I was playing Help Will Come Tomorrow just to see if my computer would actually handle it. And the answer was barely. All right. On that note, we are 8 minutes over the usual deadline. So I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you, OGGM, for our copy so that we could do the review. Thank you, Simon, for joining me.
Thank you
Um,
for having me on your channel.
and thank you to everyone in the chat for being here. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful evening and or whatever time of day it is in your universe.
2 a.m. here.
All right, let's get Simon to bed. Everyone have a great night and happy headbutting.
It's a fucking goat! Eclectic goats got videos of indie authors and cinema love. A passion for the weird and the strange. She's snappily dressed and only slightly deranged. Come and meet the eclectic goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy head button, come join the herd. Shows might be a little improper. We've got real zombie, fake wizards, the otter, pizza in one hoof, glass in the other, deciding which role-playing games we will cover. Come and meet the eclectic goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy head butting, come join the herd. Got a thing for black and white screens, crappy horror with low budget scenes. Choose on the history, spits out the lore. Time for another whiskey pour. Come and meet the eclectic goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy head butting, come join the herd.